phase 4 is what you call post-marketing surveillance comes in. Okay? So this is the legal aspect. If you want to register a whole product, therapeutic claim, or in Malaysia what we call high-end claim. Okay? Now, the problems here, yesterday I was talking to Dr. Atul, it is similar in India as well. If you are claiming that you have a herb has therapeutic claim, you need to have that done, clinical trial. Now, you all have heard about the Patanjali issue recently, right? Yes? Okay, so there was 2 issues. The one that you've seen in the newspaper is issue number 1. Another company, I do not want to name that, there is also issue where they were selling product in the market, claiming that that product is for gastro problem. It doesn't have any sedative effect. They actually claim it on the label. But when we use radio pharmaceutical or nuclear medicine techniques, whereby we take that, we tag it with radioisotopes, and we put it into an animal, usually we use rabbit, and we actually see it floating up in the brain sector. So which means it does give you sedative effect. So these are the things that wrong claims, and you need to prove this via clinical trial. Alright, preclinical and clinical. So then, moving to the issues now. Okay? Number 1, funding. Number 2, regulation. Number 3, the preclinical study problems that we have. Number 4, financing of anchor companies. So what are we talking about? Let's move to the first one quickly. Oh, it's coming. Okay. Now, relatively less research on herbal medicine effectivity to challenge the market expansion. What does that mean? So when you look at the right-hand side, insufficient scientific data to determine exactly how efficient is the medicine in treating issues. For example, many times as pharmacist myself, okay, I've been a practicing pharmacist at academia. So as soon as I entered academia, I did not lose touch of practice, which is very important because as pharmacists, lifelong learning is essential. Otherwise, you'll end up in academia having book knowledge without having practice knowledge. And book knowledge not necessarily is the same as practice knowledge. You need to know how to align, you need to know how to communicate with different healthcare professionals, you need to know how to communicate with doctors, specialists, nurses, physiotherapists, social workers. That is practice, okay? So when we come here, a lot of times, doctors especially will say, nowadays, new generation, they're a bit more liberal-minded, but the old school will tell you, herbs are dangerous, herb will spoil your kidney, will spoil your liver, do not combine it with modern medication. Now, at the end of the day, who are the medication experts? Pharmacists or doctors? Pharmacists. You always need to remember that, okay? Now, I'm also the head in pharmacy service, so I work very closely with specialty. I'm telling you, 80% of patients who end up in the ward is because of medication error. And that medication error, I'm not simply cooking up stories, so these are published data. And that medication error happens because of improper prescription. Alright, which means polypharmacy happens. Drugs that are not supposed to be combined together are combined. Dose problem, contraindicated drugs are given for patients. This happens immensely. Now, if 80% of the patient end up with this problem, whose problem is that? Is it the prescriber? Is it the doctor's problem? I would say not really. Where are the pharmacists? You are supposed to pick it up before it gets to the patient, am I right? The problem is pharmacists lack self-confidence. They lack cognitive knowledge, they do not know how to look at things, how to communicate with the doctor. Because if you look at the doctors, for them it's very simple. You have the knowledge, wow, you have the knowledge, I listen to you. But if you claim, I know this one cannot, and you yourself do not lack confidence, do you think they will trust you? 100% no. So, as pharmacists, all of you here, those of you who are will end up in a path you'll be ending up in the community or hospital. Remember, self-confidence communication skill is 110% essential. You need to know that. Okay? So coming here, they will tell you, I'm not going to give this to my patient, and even if some patient comes, I'm taking this one, doctor, what do you think? No, stay away, it will damage you. Alright? So that's where the pharmacist comes in. Alright? Now going back to this. So, to avoid these issues, if that herb has scientific evidence, it makes things life much easier, correct? End user benefits, the prescriber benefits, the pharmacist benefits, everybody is happy. Okay? But you need money to do research. Correct? That is the issue here. Next is, how many product research continued until clinical trial? You see, every university wants that money. Universities need to collaborate. Then, networking is very, very important. Okay? So, product registration and health claim regulation. Now, guidelines for claims of high value are not available. So basically, we look at, around the world, we look at USFDA, European Medicine Agency, or TGA, Australian Therapeutic Good Administration. So we look at these three, and individually, countries will have different guidelines as well. Now, if a country does not have a claim, guideline to claim, every Tom, Dick and Harry is going to put, just take one curve and say, I'm going to sell this product, claim to have this here. But who is going to be the victims of this kind of process? The patients. Because, like I said, told you, it will not contain any claims, percentage wrong, and also adulterated. Adulterated product is very, very dangerous. Okay, that means it contains heavy metals, contain carcinogenic product, or it contains a certain controlled poison inside there. Okay. Next, this is something many people will not think about: cross-border movement of herbs or raw material. In Malaysia and Indonesia, we have a lot of this issue. I think also in India, whereby certain foreign companies will say that they want to manufacture a particular herb product, and they will keep taking that herb from, let's say that plant is indigenous to our country. It only grows in India, for example. They will keep bringing that raw material out, and in the end, you do not have enough in your country, and it might even be depleted until it becomes endangered. So this happens in certain countries, especially those with high biodiversity. So there has to be clear rule on this. How does the government control this? Okay. Number 3, IPR. This is what I talked about, the turmeric and your meat issue. Okay. So that is why after that court case happened, all right, and what the WHO International Property Right Organization came about a rule where they have a toolkit where you can document traditional knowledge. So in India, we also have this database, TKBL. You can go and check it out. Go and Google TKBL. That's a database where these are the things that's being used in our traditional cultural. Do not go and take it and say that it is you're going to patent. That means an American company comes and patent, and indigenous Indians are not allowed because we are using it. So that is a database you can go and check. Okay. So next is issue number 3. Your preclinical. Now, in universities, we do animal studies, correct? It's normal, no issue. You don't need GLP for that. But if I am in industry, I need data, preclinical data to support for my registration. It needs to be done in a GLP facility. And GLP facility, what we call the OECD country, the economic collaboration countries, India and Malaysia is also part of it. We have a guideline, OECD guideline, and by that, the facility where you do preclinical must be GLP certified. And to do that, it's expensive. Okay? You take Malaysia example. In Malaysia in 2013, Malaysia was awarded